There are many global environmental issues that we are facing today. Deforestation in, say, for example, Karachi or in coastal areas, deforestation of huge, massive deforestation of these little trees which grow in the coastline, which are called mangroves. They keep the sea at bay, basically. And there are many, many different, I'm not going to get into the discussion on mangroves, but they are also being cut down big time, and that is part of deforestation. Water shortage, big one. Pollution, global warming. These are the four main issues that we are facing, the whole world is facing, right? And we know for a fact that as time is passing by, majority of this dunya is thirsty, is lacking potable drinking water. Right? Water that is available is contaminated in a lot of places. The access to water is, the water that we are accessing is contaminated. So there is this whole world water crisis that we are facing. And when, like I said, a secular atheist is reading ayat like we just saw, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending water and he has got the source of all sustenance, then you wonder, then why is this happening? Where is this coming from, this drought and this water crisis? You see, all the water on this dunya, on earth, right? 3% of it is usable by humans. All of the water that is here. And then less than 1% of world's water is readily accessible for human use. But can you imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's balance, that is enough for all of humanity? Less than 0.007% of all of the water on earth is available to drink. Millions of people live on less than 3 gallons of water per day. Billions of people, not just in Pakistan, but worldwide. 1 in 3 lack access to adequate sanitation, because water and sanitation are very, very closely related. If you're not going to have enough water or adequate water, then you're not going to have adequate sanitation. That's a fact. 1 in 5 don't have access to safe drinking water, any potable water. And that is also very problematic. According to the UN, a child dies of a water-related disease every 15 seconds. So if we do the math, the duration of our session, Wallahu alam, how many children have actually succumbed to water-related disease? Every 15 seconds. Those of you who live in Karachi, where water shortage is huge, you're going to be very familiar with these things which are called the tankers, and this wastage of water around them as well. I'm sure this is a very relatable and something that you see all the time. Yeah. If you're privileged, this is what you're using to drink. Yeah? If you're privileged. Majority of people are lucky if they have something which we call a jerry can to fill water. They wait hours and hours in line in all kinds of conditions just for water. Little children. And out of those little children, majority of them are little girls. They have to walk literally miles, without exaggeration. They have to walk miles to get a little bit of water for consumption. So the emerging worldwide water source shortage is actually pretty serious. It's something that we need to very seriously think about and find out about, and you must be living under a rock if you don't have some kind of inkling about it. So let's now hone it down to Pakistan, and those of you who are living in other parts of the world, you can most certainly research about your areas as well, right? So this is the Indus River Basin, which is one of our largest rivers, right? So our water crisis has got 2 major issues. One, that we are reaching very, very dangerous levels of scarcity of water, and the other is a contamination of water, that whatever water is available is contaminated. These are the 2 major issues that we are facing in Pakistan. So according to researchers, Pakistan may reach absolute water scarcity by 2025, which is just a few years down the line. And this is not an exaggeration, guys. This is not an exaggeration. And we actually even know the reasons for this alarming situation. Because please keep this ayat in mind where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about that He is sending down water. So Pakistan specific, which is specific in other parts of the world as well, is water intensive agriculture, wastage due to poor water management practices, water politics, big, big water politics, sketchy national water policy. We don't even have one actually, right? And alarming climate change that we are seeing around the world. So you see, every time you hear these words, climate change, sustainability, wastage, don't think that these people are just nutcases. Yeah. Don't think that these NGOs or these groups of people who are trying to create some awareness about these issues, or people who are talking about water shortage, what should we be doing individually or as a group in these situations, don't think that they are nutcases. They are in actually an alarming situation, right? Pakistan is the fourth highest country. We have the fourth highest rate of water use in the world in agriculture. We grow rice and sugarcane, highly water intensive crops. We have a very dated and old irrigation system, right? And the water consumption pattern in our agricultural sector is ridiculously outdated. So that is one reason. Yeah. Water management doesn't even exist. 2/3 of our water resources are lost in transmission and seepage, literally. This is something that we are going over, like, not in great detail, but I would highly say to those of you who are sensitive about what's going on, right? And this would absolutely be part of being a believer, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made you and us, you and I, what? Khalifa. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. You and I are responsible for the resources that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, right? So we need to be aware and we need to be involved in doing something about it as well, inshallah ta'ala, right? Climate change, heavy floods because Himalayan glaciers are melting, droughts and changing patterns are adversely affecting water resources. This is happening around the world, and this is happening big time in Pakistan as well. We see that the kind of flooding that happens, and the kind of droughts that happen, both extreme conditions, are because of this climate change. And then why is it that we need to be so concerned about it? Because major effects of water scarcity are in 4 different areas, not just one, right? First of all, which is very obvious, is health, right? So we can group it in these 4 broad areas. Water scarcity, people are forced to drink low quality, contaminated water, right? Many of which carry diseases, and it's literally killing people. Again, a problem being that sewage doesn't flow, sanitation is non-existent, and like I said, water is contaminated. So lack of water or lack of quality water causes huge sanitation issues. We know in a country like ours, Pakistan, we don't have to look hard to find dirty toilets, open defecation, and drains that are just clogged. And one of the problems that we face when rain falls is these clogged drains. So instead of being concerned about harvesting this amazing pure water that is coming down from the sky, we just let it go to waste, number one. And number two, we let it cause havoc and damage in our cities and in our communities and in our rural areas. Right? The other water-related effect because of water scarcity or contaminated water is hunger, because there's less food production, there's loss of livestock, there's malnutrition, there's stunted growth. Right? Experts say that globally we use 70% of our water resources for agriculture and irrigation, and only 10% on domestic uses. Right? So less water means farming and other crops that need water to grow have lower yield. It means that farm animals will die and others will not be able to do well without water. The result is constant hunger and thirst and low quality of life. Yeah. And there are so many other secondary issues that rise out of it. Say, for example, because of this hunger and poverty issue, you see this mass migration from rural areas into urban centers, right? And this is not just a problem of Pakistan, but we most certainly face that. Displacement of people, internal displacement of people, and what various different issues and challenges are faced by them and by people of urbanized areas because of this influx. Yeah. Third is education. Now you might wonder, how is it that water and education is related? Right? For many people in parts of the world, and particularly teenage girls or slightly older girls, they have to get up at dawn to collect water for the family. Yeah? They have to, and they have to walk for several miles to get water. So they get either so tired or they just can't be bothered that they miss school as a result, if they happen to have a school around them. So doing this for many, many years takes away school times and the cycle continues, right? In other places, girls and women are not allowed to go to school at all so that they can serve the family by getting water and taking care of other family needs. This is a very, very serious problem of scarcity of water that causes education issues and poverty issues as well. Limited economic activity and opportunity, access to quality water is key to economic prosperity and better living standards. Right? Manufacturing activities, commercial farms, mining processes all need a lot of water to thrive. So lack of water means no economic activities will happen, and then people are going to be in a state of subsistence survival. I hope this is all making sense to you guys, and it's not going like way beyond your way up your head. No, I think you're intelligent people. Inshallah, you'll get the connection, right? So what can I do in this situation? One can present a doomsday scenario, but then what can you and I do as individuals, right? We need to respond. We need to reduce water use at the source. We need to reuse the water that is available to us, and we need to recycle at the household level. All of this is very, very important at a personal household level. We need to learn water conservation. We need to practice water conservation and teach it to others and adopt an area and educate people there. And we need to join initiatives that are doing this response, no matter how small a level may be, whether it's the neighborhood level, whether it's a community level, whether it is a city level, or whether it is a country level. Yeah, we need to get involved somehow. Support water supply projects. Support desalination efforts by individuals and NGOs. Partner with local NGOs to provide low-cost alternatives for communities. Provide funds for initiatives working on this cause. Sometimes if you feel that you can't yourself um, volunteer, then give some money. Help and support in whichever way you possibly can. And generally speaking, alhamdulillah, in Pakistan, people do respond by sharing, say, giving money to initiatives. But most of these initiatives, particularly the NGOs and small community groups, require volunteers for awareness raising, for working within communities. So please, if you have the time, if you have the resources, it is our absolute responsibility. It's not a choice anymore, right? It is our responsibility to respond to this water crisis that we have. So first issue was scarcity of water. Second issue, contaminated water, right? Pakistan exceeds the World Health Organization's safe levels of arsenic contamination. Yeah, if you can see the map throughout Pakistan, because this is our index, highly contaminated with arsenic. Yeah. What are the different pollutants in our water? Mercury, arsenic, fertilizers, pesticides, hospital waste, acids, and lead, petroleum, detergents. These are all the pollutants that are in our water. There are 18 districts of Punjab, right, that had arsenic contamination in water sources. 70% of the groundwater is contaminated in the province of Sindh. 70%, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a majority. Open sewages, right? Untreated gallons and gallons of sewage is discharged in surface water bodies in Pakistan every day, untreated completely. Yeah. It may take hundreds or even thousands of years for pollutants such as toxic metals from tanneries to be flushed out or contaminated out of aquifers. Majority of our aquifers, you know what an aquifer is, right? Like right below the ground where you get your wells from when you dig, right? So those are the water sources, the water aquifers. Once they get contaminated, which is happening big time over here, right? Simply because most places don't have water available, so they do boring and they dig wells without any concern for the contamination of the aquifer, the ground aquifer. Yeah. And what are the effects of water contamination? The health hazards: paralysis of the lower limbs, arms and other body parts, keratosis, melanosis, hyperkeratosis, depigmentation, cancers. All, I mean, water contamination is like ridiculous. Shazia is saying living in Islamabad after living all my life in Karachi and using water like a rare commodity. It hurts when I see people wasting so much water by washing their car porches and watering gardens. Yes, absolutely, Shazia. So if you are living in a space and you're living, Alhamdulillah, in Islamabad, if you go to areas around Islamabad, in Punjab, even Pindi, right, and other rural areas around Islamabad, they face very serious water shortage and seriously their water sources are contaminated, right? So just because there's one kind of quote unquote model city or whatever which is privileged doesn't mean that areas around them are not, right? So that's something even you sitting in Islamabad, inshallah, can put your bit and do your bit. So all of these different effects of water contamination, I don't even have to stress too much: typhoid, hepatitis, diarrhea, hookworm, dengue, cholera, dysentery. This is so common and most common amongst children who are the most vulnerable group, right? Age group wise. So then again, what can I do in this situation? Because it is an old saying about issues whether and water scarcity and contamination is a very serious one. If you are not part of the solution, you are part of the pollution. Each and every one of us has this responsibility. And don't think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to ask us about it. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has talked about water wastage. Even if you're doing wudu next to a river, do not waste water. We need to learn the sunnah way of doing wudu with little water. You know that little bottles of water that we get? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wudu, inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the opportunity in our sessions that we learn how to do that, inshallah. But we waste water big time. You know, you're doing one of the most amazing ibadas, salah, and you waste water in wudu. That's tragic. That's tragic. And we somehow feel that until and unless we keep the tap running and we go shud, washing our hands and all that, then the wudu is not done. No, right? No, we should not be wasting water in any possible way, right? So what is it that we can do about contamination, right? Personal household level. Dangerous chemicals must not be used in our homes, right? Ammonia-based cleaners, for example. Water pollutions from bathrooms. We can use alternatives, and it is possible. It is possible. Baking soda, vinegar, lemon, you know, alternatives to chemical-based cleaners. We need to use that. Recycle and dispose of trash properly, right? Because a lot of times it is the trash that also contaminates water sources or clogs up drains. Kitchens and water pollution, we need to see that what we can do consciously about greasy substances through the kitchen basin. Yeah. How can we recycle what we are using in the kitchen? Yeah. Personal and healthcare products. What is it that we are using? You see these kind of little micro, little plastic things which are in a lot of cleaners, face washes and stuff. These never go away. You know, you're just washing your face and it's going down the drain. But what is actually going down the drain is a pollutant that will stay there forever. And that will contaminate, you know, wherever that water flow is going. Because a lot of times our attitude is what? We use personal products, we use cleaners, etc. at home, and we're like, we just flush it down the toilet. No, find out where it's going. What is the end result? And a lot of times we are like just sitting there thinking, so I'm just one person. If I start practicing some kind of water conservation or saving from contamination, how is that going to help? You tell me, how is that going to help? Every little counts. Just like if I say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and then like a domino effect starts happening, and and then others join, and then others join. Does that not have an effect? Does that one person standing up for God doesn't have an effect? Of course it does. And being responsible for the resources that God has given us is part of that La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That is also something to understand. So try to use natural products to the best of your ability. Learn water purifying techniques and teach others, because majority of people, I'm talking about Karachi and I'm talking about Pakistan, they use dirty water. They don't even know how to boil water, right? Boiling was actually found to be the most efficient, giving 100% decontamination after 3 minutes of boiling. So people who are working, alhamdulillah, we are all terribly privileged. People who are working in our homes, teach them how to purify their water. Teach them how to use little water. Chlorination is one thing, although it is chemical based, but it is something which is absolutely useful, right? Filtration through cloth, filtration through clay vessels. There are many different ways which you can find out, which are most feasible and cost effective, which are low cost options. A very quick reminder about the Karachi water crisis. Reasons behind the crisis is A, scarce water resources. Yes, but there is a reason that these resources have become scarce, because we do not take care of the water that is available to us. One of the main reasons is the water mafia. About a third of the municipal water supply is lost or siphoned off deliberately. You all must have heard the name of this amazing woman called Parveen Rahman, who was actually killed because she was raising awareness about the water mafia, and she was making a case against the water mafia, and she was actually killed in cold blood. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept her efforts, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise her levels high and give her Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen. Right? Poor maintenance of water pumping stations. You can see that all of these reasons are man-made. They are not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has, it is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has given us this shoddy system. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a perfect system. And what are we doing about it? Right? Extremely worn out water pipeline network. And let's just think about our own water footprint. That is very important. You see, you can raise your voice, most certainly be involved in raising your voice against the water corruption that is happening around us. Yeah. But personally, what can I do in the meantime? Right? Personally, what can I do? A quarter of all of the clean water that enter your homes is used to flush toilets. 1/4 of it, right? One toilet flush uses 3 gallons, 3 gallons of water. A 10-minute shower uses 50 gallons of water. And we stand under the shower as if there's no tomorrow. We need to change our habits. We need to have more efficient flushing systems in our toilets. Those of us who can afford having a toilet in our bathroom can most certainly afford making little changes so that so much water, pure clean water, is not used. Take a shower as short as possible. Best to use a bucket. Bucket is your friend. Bucket is your buddy. Take a shower. Take a bath with the bucket. Little bit as because you see you're responsible for saving that water. Brushing your teeth with the tap running, or like I just said, doing wudu with your tap running. 4, 5, 6 gallons of water goes just like that, and we're just standing there 5 times a day with the tap open. Yeah? Whether you are at home, whether you are in a masjid, whether you are at work, wherever you are, it is your responsibility to use that water properly. Yeah? Brushing teeth with tap off, 0.25 gallons. Look at the difference from 4 gallons to 0.25 gallons. And did you know that to produce one pair of jeans, this is for all of us who are just so careless about our consumption. What is it that I'm wearing, right? All of that is interconnected. 10,850 liters of water to produce one pair of jeans. Highly water intensive. Smartphones. We want a new one I don't know, every 6 months perhaps, or every time they kind of have the new version of whatever. 240 gallons, which is 910 liters of water, are used to produce one smartphone. One. Do we really need to encourage our children, or are so, you know, phased by, oh my God, the new thing has come? And what is so new about it? If it has got all the features, Alhamdulillah, it's working. So use it as much as you can. No, right? Think about it. Cola, right? Any kind of cola. It requires 500 milliliters, 500 milliliter bottle, 175 liters or 46 gallons of water to produce one of these. Paper, right? You know the A4 paper? How much water does it require? Yeah. 5,000 liters of water for one pack of A4 sheet. You're cutting down a tree as well, by the way. Other than that, to be water-wise, to think in terms of conservation of water, to think in terms of what my role can be in this whole, like I said, doomsday scenario. These are little subtle changes that I need to make in my daily lifestyle, right? And propagate it to others. And it doesn't kill you, actually. It's very easy to implement, right? And you will say it's not easy, because if you make a little change in your habits, initially it seems like, oh my God, that's too much. That's like, how can I do it and how can I do it? But when you stick to it and you teach people around you, those who work for you, and perhaps other members of the family, that is time consuming. It requires patience, right? But do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For a believer, everything we do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just like you reduce, reuse, and recycle everything in your life, reduce, reuse, and recycle the water that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you as sustenance, right? As the building block of life. Because remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask you. Once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting with some companions, and there was a cold glass of water, right? And this was in relationship to the surah Al-Hakumut Takasur, Hatta Zurtumul Maqabir, Kalla Sawfa Ta'lamun, Summa Kalla Sawfa Ta'lamun, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask you about what you have been given, right? So he was, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting, and there was a glass of cold water, and he drank it, and then he said to the Sahaba that you are going to be, because you see this, I should tell you that in Surah Takasur, the last ayat is what? And then on that day, you're going to be asked about the ni'mas, about the blessings, about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given to you. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam drank that water, and he said that we are going to be asked about it. Allahu Akbar Kabira. We are going to be asked about water that we are just flushing down without thinking. We're going to be asked about that you were going to do salah and you wasted 500 gallons of water while making wudu. Think of it in those terms, right? And a lot of you, particularly those of us who are living in Karachi, we buy water, don't we? Whether it's a tanker or whether it's the water to drink. Think about all of those millions and millions who can't afford to do that. And you are wasting all of that water. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you.